At this time, we'll move to the portion of the meeting where we have citizens' concerns. Before I let you get started, though, I think many of you are here for both the levy discussion and the Clinton Street Viaduct project. Now would not be the time to talk about those. The Clinton Street project will be our second first reading, and I will take hands at that time for that. And then during the study session for the levy discussion, I will take hands during that time too for that. So if there are any other citizens' concerns other than those two, now would be the time. Mr. Posey.
Ron Posey, 1917 Derbyshire Drive. Write that down. My concern is, I think we got some priorities. That streetscape, that's cool, but I think we got priorities out of order. We should be looking more at our streets, our private streets, and our sidewalks. I think they're in bad shape, and to put something in front like this is, to me, is out of priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' concerns? Yes, sir. You have your name and address, please, for the record.
It's Roger Molnar. I live here in Defiance.
And I'll remind you have 5 minutes.
Okay, I don't need that much.
Okay.
Back in October, our group, Occupy Defiance, was stopped by the police while we were engaging in our right to free speech. We were participating in a chalk walk. Our purpose was to promote positive messages for the spectators for the Halloween parade. After writing messages for over an hour and a half, we were stopped by the police officer and was told to stop, threatening us with arrest. In the police report that we received a month or so later, it said that the officer was told that because it was political speech, it had to be shut down. That sounds a very dangerous policy for the police to engage in. The reason we're coming to City Council is in October 31st, Crescent News council member, in the Crescent News, Councilmember Handy was quoted as saying that we were defacing the downtown sidewalks with chalk, and he wanted it to be addressed. And Mayor Armstrong said he would investigate the matter, although we were never contacted. We looked into it, and the ordinance addressing this issue specifically says paint. And the chalk was gone after the first rain, so there was really no defacing. But the most ironic part of this entire story is that Chief Tobias told us that there was no problem with our chalk walk as long as it was not vulgar or the sidewalks were blocked. And the statement was recorded, and we could provide it to council if you prefer. The reason we're speaking today is that in the Crescent News, on the front page, there's a promotion of sidewalk art. There are 4 artists, as it says, engaging in sidewalk art. When we did it, it was considered defacing. It was considered defacing by City Council. But when it was in the newspaper, it's art. It seems kind of selective. But there's a few of us here. We'd like to speak, and if you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer them too.
Thank you. Any other citizens' concerns? Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name's Jacob Goldman. I live at 6909 State Route 66 North. I'd also like to speak a little bit on the chalking thing. You know, when we say that it's okay for one group of people to do something and it's not okay for another group of people to do the exact same thing, there's an obvious bias in the interpretation and the enforcement of the law. And not only is that immoral, but that's illegal and a denial of somebody's civil rights. Clearly, the ordinance, City Ordinance 905.05, defacing sidewalks and spitting, is in reference to permanent damage to the sidewalk, saying no person shall deface or disfigure any sidewalk or part thereof by painting on the sidewalk names, words, or advertisements, or by pasting or placing printed bills or posters thereon. No person shall spit on any street or sidewalk in any public place in the city. And if you look up the legal definition of disfigure, it means to spoil the appearance of. And spoiling is a permanent act that you can't go back from. Sidewalk chalk, you could throw a cup of water on it and it disappears. And like Mr. Molnar said, none of this stuff was vulgar or sexual or out of line with anything that you could find in a newspaper or magazine or anything like that. The fact that we were detained and threatened with arrest and criminal charges while others can place it in the newspaper and be applauded for being an artist, there's obvious discrepancy I think needs to be addressed here.
Thank you. Mr. Rush, you
A
have a
question, if I could ask you. Do you feel you guys were defacing public property?
No, certainly not. We were intending to be in full accordance with the law. Like he had said, we asked Chief Tobias the night or so before, maybe I can't remember if it was the night or 2 nights before, and he indicated that it was okay. Afterwards, he retracted that statement. You know, you can say what you want about that. I believe it's clear on the video that you can see at youtube.com/defiancefreedom. We didn't intend to offend, hurt, deface, destroy, mar, spoil the appearance of, or do anything negative. It was just to share positive feelings with the community and get them to think about things maybe in a different way. That's the only thing we intended. You know, I sincerely apologize if that's not what happened, but what did happen in the way that we were treated, I think, deserves an apology, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the public?
It sounds like the timing of that happened probably as I was heading right into my surgery, so those conversations that might have happened here at the council happened again while I was in the hospital and recovering from that. Was there a promise of a follow-up report and what happened? Again, that may have been reported in a council meeting I wasn't at, so.
There was police action taken, and it's, their hands are in it, so.
You know, it's been so long ago, I can't, I don't remember what Chief Tobias told me precisely enough to quote him. But I think if he were here tonight, that he would have a slightly different recollection of what actually took place. I don't know that the use of painting as a verb necessarily requires that it be paint. I do think that defacing does include the marking with various substances. But I also know that no one was cited, no one was arrested, no one was fined, and you know, there was some talk about requesting a legal opinion of me as to what the ordinance does and does not permit, and what the sign code does and does not permit, but I've never been officially asked to provide that. So.
Mr. Lumber, go ahead and ask a question. I got a couple folks.
My question is for Mr. Williams. As a building owner of downtown property, and said sidewalk that is in front of the buildings, and it's my responsibility to maintain those sidewalks in a flat, even, safe manner, would the building owner or the tenant occupying said buildings be able to object to someone writing on their quote-unquote area of public space? Because a sidewalk is considered public space, but yet it's maintained by the property owner, not by public monies.
Probably not. It is a public space. To the extent that the First Amendment applies, public space, people are entitled to speak freely in that space. My best recollection, and I was informed of this after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody came to me looking for advice before anything was done. But my recollection of it is that the charge of defacing the sidewalk was appropriate. It had nothing to do with the content of the speech. It had to do with the use of the public asphalt or concrete as the chalkboard. Without obtaining prior permission to do that, or had Occupy Defiance wanted to parade on the sidewalk carrying banners or placards with the same messages, nothing would have been said. It was the physical act of applying a colored substance to the pavement is what the police focused in on, is my understanding. And while the verb is no one shall paint on the street, I don't believe that that necessarily limits the substance to paint. In fact, if you would open an industrial coatings catalog today, you probably won't find anything that is called paint. It's, there are 100 different organic solutions that people use for coatings, and I don't know that they use the term paint for any of them.
I saw a gentleman in the back who hadn't had a chance, opportunity to speak yet. If you could come forward, please, give your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Clark Golden, 1000 Ralston Avenue. This is incredibly embarrassing that I even have to ask this. It's sad to me, but if I use sidewalk chalk on the public sidewalk, will the city take legal action against me, yes or no? I feel like, especially with spring and summer being here, sidewalk chalk is sold readily in many retailers here in Defiance. I think this is a very real concern that needs to be addressed. I don't want any kind of ambiguity if I'm going to be out there riding with sidewalk chalk or anyone else I know.
Like a 5-year-old child?
Yeah.
Is this a
If you
crime?
want a yes or no answer, I believe the answer is yes.
This particular incident, I think that someone had called the police department, said there's someone riding on the sidewalks, and they went down and checked it out, and they were, and asked him to stop. I think that's what it was. Any more than that, I don't think it was intended to be anything. It was just it was reported, and they reacted.
Was that a yes that I would be legally prosecuted by the city?
Yes.
Williams?
Mr. S., you have a question or comment?
I would like to, I guess, because it might be something that might come up down the road. I know your time is pressed, Mr. Williams, but I think it might be worth taking the time to give an opinion on this. That way, it's something that can be followed, and at the same time, it's fair to everybody, as to what's expected.
Yeah, the regulation has to do with the application of the substance to the pavement. It's not based on the content of the speech.
Right, I understand. And I guess for the sake, because I'm the only councilman that's asking it, I think we need to have a consensus from council to have that done.
Under the new rule, there needs to be a request of all of council for a legal opinion. Is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Which, just on the matter of can you write with chalk on the sidewalk, or
It'd be
what?
it's basically what Mr. Williams had said earlier in regards to wanting to give or that he had been,
The police
Ask.
department had asked after the fact whether or not
an opinion.
an opinion could be written to guide them,
Okay.
but they never followed up with that
Okay,
as a
so that'd be-
formal request. It was
That would be the premise
informally made.
of my request at this point.
To provide a legal advice or an advisory memorandum to the police.
Yes.
And
And-
Gordon Plant seconded that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And then I'd add to that, I mean, part of the question that just simply brings then is related to, is that something that could be done by permit or not? So, your research into that, should include some kind of methodology, because, I mean, that would be important to know how municipalities do that. I, for one, don't, unless it meets some of the other requirements of vulgarity or whatever, I don't have a problem with chalk drawings. And I know a
Well,
lot of communities that do that, but-
I don't know that I do either.
I know
but
you
if
don't,
somebody
but whatever it
says,
is legally.
give me a yes or no answer right now, I'm going to err on the side of safety and say, you better assume you'll be prosecuted.
Any other questions on the motion? I'll get to you guys in just a second.
Anybody watching this, anybody here, please side with reason and sanity. Come in here, tell these people how you feel, write the Crescent News. This is, like I said, this is an embarrassment to be told that you and your children can't write with sidewalk chalk on the sidewalk, public property. It's a sad day for Defiance, Ohio.
Any other council discussion about the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Mr. Molnar, quick comment?
I just want to say, we weren't, nobody was charged with anything, and nobody was detained or anything like that. Well, except for at the site, but, we were told that we couldn't do it again. So we were stopped from, getting our message out in this way. And we were told that, there would be charges if we did do it again. So, I mean, there really is a little ambiguity there of, whether we're stopped or not stopped. And also, chalk isn't permanent. It's that the first rain, it was all gone. There was no results of it, so there was no defacing, there was no permanent problem with any of the sidewalks.
So if it's not legal to chalk on the public sidewalk, is this photographic evidence of a crime? Should this be investigated and prosecuted, these people here that are clearly chalking on the public sidewalk with sidewalk chalk? It's definitely a pigment. It definitely makes a mark. By your personal definition of painting, these people are breaking the law. And here's the photographic evidence for thousands of people to see. Is this a crime?
Mr. President, I am not going to sit here and pretend we're in law school 101 and play with the Socratic
You're the law
method.
director. We're asking your
That's
opinion.
right, and I am not, I've already told you that if you want
it
a
is a
yes
crime?
or no answer, that you better err on the side of caution.
Will this
If the
be
council
prosecuted?
wants a memorandum, it will be researched and published.
Will
And
this
I'm
be
not going to
prosecuted? What's the
put it
names
up to
of
you.
the people who have?
I think you give her an
crime
answer,
here?
sir, so why don't you have a seat
He
now?
didn't give me an answer if they would be prosecuted and if it would be investigated as a crime, which he said it was. That's what I'm asking for.
Okay.
Not any more clarification. He clarified that it was illegal.
I think once he writes a legal opinion, they'll be able to,
Mr. President,
yes.
Mr. Uresti just asked for an investigation and asked for a conclusion on the matter. I can't believe that anyone would continue to press the issue. And personally, I believe they're all fools.
It's nice
And
that
I
you
will
could make
go
a
on the
personal and
record for
professional
that.
like that. Thank you
Please,
so much.
sit down.
Thank you, sir. Anything else from the public? If not, we'll move to our agenda with the first reading.